Hello and greetings from Northumbrian. It's the 3rd of November. It's just before sunrise. The sun is just beginning to lighten the sky, and it's a lovely still morning after some of the winds we've had for a bit. We commemorate in the Church of England two very different figures today, but they lived within 50 years of each other at the turn of the 17th century. Richard Hooker died in 1600, and Martin of Porres died in 1639. They lived in very different contexts. Hooker lived in an England that was in a degree of religious turmoil, a time when the Elizabethan settlement of the Church of England was beginning to be put in place. And this settlement in Elizabeth's time was to, if you like, to make sure that the different parties within the church, the Puritan parties and the more Catholic inclined parties in the newly formed Church of England, could live and work and pray together. And Richard Hooker was an apologist and a writer and a defender of that settlement, believing that the Church of England was both Catholic and Reformed, and in his Laws of Ecclesiastical Polity, setting out an apology, a justification, a championship of the idea of the Church of England as the church for all the people of England. A broad church, but a church that was both Catholic and Reformed. And of course, that was something that was opposed by the Puritans, who wanted to create a more mainland Europe Reformed church, like a Lutheran church or a Calvinist church. And of course, he was also opposed by those who were so concerned that the Catholic faith, the Roman Catholic faith, should be restored. But he pursued this middle line, and he taught, and he said that the Church of England should be here for the whole people of the English and the British Isles. And that's something that the Church of England has held on to, a Christian presence in every community. Sometimes that presence is quite frail as circumstances have changed. But we still hold to the fact that I am, as a parish priest, have a responsibility to every soul, to every person who lives in the parish, well, the parishes that I serve, that they all have a call on me, and I have a responsibility to them. And that's important to remember at a time of crisis like this, that the responsibilities of the church and the responsibilities of the clergy extend far beyond those who worship day by day, but they extend to every member of the community. I'm now going to take you many thousands of miles across the Atlantic and across the continent of South America to Peru. Martin of Porres, who died in 1639, was the child of a European and an Indian, a native of the area. And he lived in a time when much of South America was in quite a degree of turmoil because of the colonization by Europe. And he was clothed as a friar, a Dominican friar, and he lived and worked in his native land. And he did this to the one purpose, and that was to relieve the needs of the poor. He, it is said, always chose the oldest clothes, and he worked alongside those who were in the greatest need. And indeed, it could be said that he spent his life in the service of the poorest people of all. So much so that even now, 400 years after his death, he is still one of the most popular saints of the South American continent, and speaks of the values of Christianity in reaching out to those who are on the margins. This is an important lesson for us too in very difficult times. The things we take away from today, it seems to me, are that the church is there for all people. Someone wrote yesterday You know, people value food banks. People value play groups in difficult circumstances. People value so many things that the churches do, but they grow out of the church's relationship and the relationship of ordinary Christians with God. It is our faith that impels us to do the good things for others. That was true for Martin of Porres. And so as we face another difficult and dark place, this vocation of the church and all of us as Christians must come to the fore, to serve our neighbours, to reach out to the marginalised, and to be there for them in the name of Christ. May God bless us in this.